If you were to ask anyone you know, do you think our society has any problems? They would probably all say yes. They might not agree on what the problems are, or what causes the problems, or how to fix them, but social problems are seen all around us. In this course, we will study some of those problems. Before we go further, however, we have to define what we mean by a problem, and what it is that makes that particular problem a social one. After all, people also have all kinds of personal problems, from bad acne to breaking up with their boyfriend, which we don't think society has a responsibility to solve. Generally speaking, a problem will be an existing condition that is inconsistent with or threatening to our most important values or beliefs. In other words, the existence of a social problem depends on how you define what is good or bad, right or wrong, true or false. If something doesn't measure up to what you think is good or right or true, then you'll think there's a problem. Of course, people don't agree on what is good and bad, or true and false, and that is why people don't agree about social problems, or why some see a problem where others do not. You may see a married gay couple and not see a problem, feeling glad that they are being treated equally. Or you may see a married gay couple and see a big problem, because your beliefs about what is moral and good are being contradicted. Once we see a problem, the second question is whether it is a social one. After all, some problems are natural. When a hurricane floods the East Coast, we don't blame society for the torrential rains. Some problems are also personal. You can't blame society if you fail this course. For a problem to be social, society must play a role in causing the problem. The problem must be social in origin. The more a problem is rooted in social factors, the more it is a social problem. A social problem must also be harmful to many individuals. The more people that are harmed, the more it is a social problem. Someone may like to eat horse meat, which is considered a delicacy in France, but it's not sold in America. However, since the lack of horse meat doesn't affect too many people, it's not considered a problem. Since social problems affect groups of people by definition, then they are also seen as harming society. A social problem threatens what we think society should be. If we think society should be a place of basic fairness, for example, then we'll see unequal treatment as not just unfair, but actually harming the nature of America. That is one reason people can become so passionate about these problems. People can also be persuaded to see problems where once they did not, or to believe a problem doesn't exist where once they did. Much of the rhetoric in presidential campaigns is directed at convincing people to see or not see problems. If you can convince enough people to see a problem, then it will exist, because it exists in their minds. 99.9% of Muslims are not terrorists, but if enough Americans believe they are, then we have a social problem. Once we have defined a problem, then we need to identify its causes. Social problems are not primarily caused by personal choices, evil people, biology, or psychology. They are caused by operations in society. For example, if you view abortion as immoral, the problem is not that some people choose to get abortions, but that society has determined abortion to be a legal procedure. In your mind, the way to fix that problem is to make abortion illegal. People may still seek back alley abortions, but that is not a social problem, it is a personal one of choosing to break the law. This also means that different problems can be closely related. One dysfunctional operation in society can lead to many problems. The economic recession in 2008 was a form of societal dysfunction that caused a variety of serious issues, such as unemployment, poverty, loss of health insurance, and a large increase in the national debt. As social problems are linked with societal causes, we will see social patterns develop. Cultures have distinctive problems because of the beliefs they hold and the way they operate. For example, American culture strongly promotes individuality and a belief in individual freedoms. Those are cultural values for us. Those beliefs are also connected to our very high rates of murder and divorce. Americans are more concerned about themselves and their personal happiness than they are about their duties to the community or communal values. Individualism, divorce, and homicide are patterns in American culture that we can document and study. The goal, of course, after defining a social problem and identifying societal causes, is to discover solutions, to solve the problem. But, as we'll see, social problems are seldom that easy to fix. In fact, it can be hard to identify the cause or to even agree on whether a problem exists. Some people believe poverty is a problem, but not everyone does. Some people believe poverty is a social problem with societal causes. Some people believe poverty is a personal problem rooted in someone's choices. If you believe poverty is a social problem, then you will want society to do something about it. If you believe poverty is a personal problem, then you will not want society to do anything. Social problems are difficult to solve because they also can be a combination of societal and personal factors. Is alcoholism a social problem or a personal problem? In reality, it is both. Social problems are very complex and are usually embedded in the nature of society. Solutions often require changes that are too large or too drastic for people to easily tolerate. More realistically, some would say, we can try to make something that is harmful be less harmful or less wrong. We may never reach full equality for all categories of people, but we can take steps in that direction. We may not be able to change social patterns, but we can adjust them so that fewer people are hurt. Others say that large and drastic changes are what's required. Adjustments and small changes still leave people unequal and social injustice in place and doesn't really solve our problems. Those who don't want change need to get out of the way. We call these people revolutionaries. What questions do you have about social problems? What social problems do you see in our society?